morning and welcome to the June 8th meeting of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners. At this time, we'd ask if you have any electronic devices, if you would please turn those off for the remainder of the meeting, and please stand for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, we just come to you at this time, thanking you for the much that you've done for us in the past. Lord, even in the future, we thank you in advance for those things that you will accomplish. Lord, we just ask you to be here in our midst today. Help us make those decisions that would be pertinent for Meriwether County and would certainly be upbuilding for our citizens. And Lord, we just ask you now to forgive us in all the places we failed. That name is above all names. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, Skip's got his. You need to mute yours. We could hear it coming through.
Okay, our first item will be to adopt the agenda, but we do have a couple of changes. Under new business, we're going to add number 7, and that's fencing for Keep Meriwether Beautiful. Number 8, LaMig changes. And under new business, the state agency 2023 budget request, we're going to move those to right after the appointments, so those here can get back to their jobs. Any other changes? Hearing none, can we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
We have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, thank you. Next will be the finance report, and Mr. Bill.
Madam Chairman, you've got those reports in front of you. There is a typo on the bank balance report that I omitted a 1 in the general fund between the 4 and the 3. It should be 4,131,000 instead of 431,000. A 1 between the 4 and the 3. It should be 4.1 million instead of 431,000. All right, I'll go through the rest of the reports quickly since we have a long agenda. Next sheet is a 2020. This was the original estimate for the SPLOST funds, and if you see, the county portion we were anticipating $90,000 a month, but if you'll turn to the next page, we're averaging right at 100. This past month was 147,000, and we're averaging about 125,000. So we're 20,000-30,000 over what our original estimate was, which will help us toward the end of the program. And the same thing is true for SPLOST. You look on the next page, our estimate was 92,000. Past month was 122, and we're averaging around 106. So it's doing better than expected as well. I ran right through those, but if you have a chance to look over, if you got any questions, just let me know. That's all I have on those reports.
Okay, anyone have any questions? Do we have anyone signed up for citizen comment? All right, thank you. All right, now we'll move on to the minutes. We have the minutes of the May 24th, 4 p.m. work session and the May 24th, 6 p.m. regular meeting.
Madam Chair, on the May 24th for the work session, unfortunately, our page is not documented, but under the section that says update on fire stations, there's a comment that I stated of the fire station. It was Rocky Mount and Primrose. It's actually, I stated Alvelton. So we just need to change that.
Okay, any other changes? Hearing none.
You said Rocky Mount and Primrose.
No, it says Commissioner Hines wanted to understand how we are paying for and what is being done for, you got Rocky Mount, and I asked about Alvelton and Primrose.
Instead of Rocky Mount.
Yes.
Should be Alvelton.
Alvelton.
All right, any other changes? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Is that for both sets of minutes?
That's for both, that's the work session and regular meeting. All right, then we have a request for correction of some minutes back to April 26 regarding a zoning case.
Yes, the recommendation from Community Development was for approval with 4 conditions, and we believe that that was the board's intent. The minutes, however, were approved without mention of those 4 conditions, so we just want to correct that. And there is a copy of the minutes and the presentation material for your reference.
Hearing this recommendation, what's your pleasure?
I believe I made that original motion, and I would like to include those stipulations that the county administrator, just mentioned.
And I'll second.
All right, all in favor? All right, we do not have need for a public hearing. We'll move on to appointments. Region 4 EMS cancel position 1 to fill a 3-year term that will expire on 6/30/2022.
Staff recommendation from Chief Smith is for Danny Stevens.
Okay, do I have a motion regarding this recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Region 4 EMS cancel position 2, proclaim Michael Nelson to position 2 with expiration of 6/30/24.
We also have a staff recommendation for Robert Etheridge for that from Chief Smith as well.
And that's a change because I believe Mr.
He went
Nelson
to
went to
part-time.
part-time.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
hearing this recommendation, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, we have an appointment to the Pine Mountain Regional Library Board for a term that expires 6/30/22.
I make a motion, we table this until our next meeting.
Okay? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Appointment to DFAX District 5, term expires 6/30/2022. That is my district. Kelly Stevens has been serving there, and she agrees to serve again, so I'm making form of a motion. Kelly Stevens for DFAX District 5.
I'll second.
All in favor? Thank you. Appointment to the Pathways Service Board, term expires 6/30/2022. That is currently being held by Jennifer Jones, and she is interested in continuing to serve on that board, so I make that in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, we've moved the state agency budget request after the appointments, so we'll turn to Mr. Bill.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have, we'll just go down the list. The first one up is DFAX. The state agencies, their budgets are due into the state July 1st, so that's why we're meeting early to talk about their budget request this morning, and then the board will approve them at the last meeting in June. The first one up is Kenya Lovett Jester. She used to be Lovett, but I understand she's recently married, so it's
That's been a long time.
a long time. Well, first time in here. Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning, everyone. My name is Kenya Levitt Jester. I'm the County Director for Meriwether County DFAX. And as Mr. Gregory spoke about, I'm here to speak about our budget request. Previously for the county, we had the $25,000, and we were asking for an increase of $3,000 for the budget to be increased by $3,000. And the rationale for our increase is definitely because of the inflation with everything going on with our children, with our families. Currently, the state of DFAX where we are is that we have currently been still teleworking, but starting back to come to a hybrid model for our families. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll be back in the office. So all of our contacts are still being made now face-to-face for our children. But during the time while we've had the pandemic, we can tell you certainly that the work has been getting done. But we've had some numbers to increase for our children that are currently in foster care. We have been able to certify some additional foster homes. So some of our children are brought back into the county at this time, which is a great thing. So they're able to have that normalcy and still stay in the school system, still do some of the extracurricular things that they were already doing while they were in Meriwether County. But of course, that comes with a cost. And that cost for us is through our financial policy for our foster parents. So incurring different things. So when the children need extra needs, maybe going to the Market Center in Atlanta, having to travel, foster parents are incurring gas expenses. That comes out of our county budget. If they're doing extracurricular activities, that comes out. Our budget also includes, wipes and diapers, things for the kids. Of course, the kids receive WIC, so they're getting the formula, but it's their basic needs that are not met under the normal per diem. So with that, we're asking to be able to continue to offer our foster parents what they need to make sure the kids' needs are met. And we noticed that based off our numbers increasing as well, that the cost is going up for all of our children. From last year up until this year, and even just the start of January 2022, we've had 9 additional kids to come into foster care as of this year on up. And that's high for us within Meriwether, because a lot of our cases are family preservation as well, where we try to maintain them in the home, but when that does not happen, we have to remove them. And they're in our foster homes, and some of them are still placed out of the counties, as far as Savannah. We have one in Augusta. So travel all comes into play with regards to that. So we're looking at that and wanting to request that additional $3,000. That may still be cutting it close, but that's something that we want to be able to look at starting with to be able to meet the needs of our children.
All right, anyone have any questions? Mr. Bill?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the District Attorney's Office, Mr. Herb Cranford.
Hey, I'm Herb Cranford, DA of the Coweta Circuit. Good to see you all again. I'll kind of give the numbers of the request and kind of the background on it, the explanation for it. Right now, Meriwether County's giving our office about $225,000. That goes to salaries only. And then there's about $13,000 that also goes to our operating budget. I'm requesting a 10% increase to the personnel side of the budget only. And the reason for that is I'm sure everybody here is aware, cost of living is going up substantially. But that cost of living going up is happening in the context of a very difficult hiring market, I think for probably most employers, but also for DA's offices, for lawyers in general. DA's offices across the state, particularly in Metro Atlanta, who we compete with for lawyers coming out of law school, have substantially increased their budgets. For example, Fulton County added, I think, 50 assistant DA positions in the last year. And again, in recruiting people, we're competing against those Atlanta offices. That's a doable commute for a lot of lawyers, right? The state has also increased our employer costs by 6%. So we're in a program called the State Paid County Reimbursed program. It's run through the Prosecuting Attorneys Council. So all of my 60 employees are treated as state employees. They get state health benefits, they get state retirement benefits, but we are subject to the state increasing those employer costs. So we're not only, our employees are not only seeing the cost of living increases that everybody in the community is seeing, we're seeing more prosecutor positions across the state open, so it's harder to recruit people here. And then on top of that, my employer costs have gone up. So my concern is, am I going to have to, essentially keep salaries flat, if not furlough, if not reduce salaries to some extent? Now, I'll tell you, this is the 4th commission I've spoken to. I've had positive conversations with Troup, Carroll, and Coweta counties. I don't want to get ahead of myself. They're still working on their budgets, but I'm guardedly optimistic they're going to be giving some increases so that I can hopefully give some raises rather than have to cut salaries or furlough to keep up with that 6%. And coming up with a 10% request from Meriwether, I did want to ask for the moon. I wanted to ask for something that might be doable for the county. I know this is difficult for all these counties and communities to come up with the funds, but my aim is to keep the good people we've already got. We received some ARPA funds to add positions to the office. Specifically, we were approved for 3 assistant DA positions. I had 3 assistant DAs lined up for that, coming out of law school. Since April, we've lost exactly 3 assistant DAs. One went to go get paid more money in the Attorney General's office in their, I think, Public Integrity Unit. One got hired to be the chief assistant DA by the new DA in Columbus, and another went into private practice. We've only received one resume in the last, I guess, I don't know, 8 weeks of somebody that we would actually consider hiring, you know, and so we're looking at putting them in the ARPA funded position. But I went from 8 months ago thinking I want to be recruiting and hiring new people. Now my total focus is keeping the good people we already have. And you know, I don't know what y'all have been hearing in the community, but my belief is we've got good people in Meriwether County. I think they're doing a solid job here. We've kicked off a pretrial diversion program in Meriwether County. Right now, the court is focusing almost exclusively on inmate cases, so we haven't been bringing back in the people that are out on bond so much. But the pretrial diversion program, we've worked it out with the misdemeanor probation to supervise. And if we prosecute somebody and get a guilty verdict, not only do they have a conviction on their record, maybe for a non-serious crime, which hurts their employment opportunities, but any fine they pay goes to the state government. The benefit of a pretrial diversion program to the county is any fee, they're not called fines in that scenario, they're called a fee, and that fee goes into the county coffer. So I want to keep these good people in place and hopefully get the pretrial diversion really cranked up in Meriwether County, particularly on the misdemeanor and less serious cases. And I think that ultimately will be to the benefit of the county, although our main goal in doing it is, I think it's just the right thing to do for those types of cases. So, you know, I'm happy to take any questions, but again, I try to make a reasonable request to help shore up people we have, try to give them a little bit of a raise so that hopefully we can keep them rather than them being pulled away to a nearby metro county.
Somebody have any
I
questions?
do, Madam Chair. Maybe I didn't hear this. I know you're asking for 10% for salary. What percentage wise are your cases from Meriwether County? I think a couple of years ago, you gave us an idea of the workload that you get out of Meriwether County and compared to the circuit. Is that the same? Has it increased or?
I think it stayed the same. One thing that's a little bit difficult to compare in terms of the caseload is in Coweta, Carroll, and Troup, we only handle felony cases in those 3 counties. In Heard and Meriwether, we handle all criminal cases, including misdemeanors. So, you know, if you counted misdemeanors as equivalent to a felony, then I think Meriwether is up there near Troup County, just in overall cases. But misdemeanor cases are more simple. They're often easier to resolve. It's an easier jury trial typically. So I don't know if giving you just the percentages exactly illustrative, but
So I'm sorry, so we do have designated people just for Meriwether County then?
Yes.
So we're not having people to circulate throughout the circuit. So we have designated people for Meriwether County.
yeah, we have
And how many is those?
a senior assistant DA. He's been with the office over a decade, I believe. He manages the Meriwether office. We have a long-term legal assistant who's been here for a number of years. We have a committed full-time victim advocate. We recently hired a new one in Meriwether. I believe she came from DFACS, if I recall correctly. And so she's familiar with Meriwether County, has been in the community for a while. And we have a part-time assistant DA that helps us handle misdemeanors, probate court particularly. And I think that the history of that was at one time, the board was essentially contracting out a person to handle probate court. And I'm confident the part-time ADA we have in place is doing a good job, and I think people are generally satisfied with the setup we've got there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll just say I think the request is reasonable, in my opinion, because in the medical field, we have the same issues as far as hiring and maintaining or retaining those good individuals too. So it's very reasonable.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Next on the list is the public defender, and Mary Ellen Simmons was not able to be with us this morning or on Zoom due to being involved in a case in one of our neighboring counties. But she's asking for an increase. If you'll look at her request she sent us, the total personnel cost is $194, but that $92.78, I've already talked with her, and we're going to pull that out of there like we do every year. We don't participate in that, so it's really just the $185,564. Her reasoning for the request are similar to Mr. Herb's, due to keeping good people and those kind of things, but she will be here the last meeting in June to talk about her request and answer any questions that you have. The next one on here is the health department, and she's not asking for an increase, but Teresa McDaniel is on Zoom if you've got any questions for her, or if she has any questions for you.
Does anybody have any questions? I think we're good on that one.
Okay, Teresa, you have any questions? You're still there.
Hey, good morning,
Morning.
Commissioners. I do not. We're just asking for stable funding as we've had in the last several years. We would appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the list is the library. Miss Cynthia Kilby is here to present her request to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am asking for a large increase this year. It's $25,000, and I understand that is quite large. I had planned to start asking for increases in 2020, but we all know what happened then. COVID interfered with that. But in the last 2 years, everyone has expected minimum wages to go up. It is getting harder and harder to hire people because our starting rate is $7.45 an hour. When I've been hiring people lately, I have been hiring them at the previous employee's rate, which is an insult to the employee who's leaving, because it devalues what they have done. And we also need money for a managed IT service. My IT librarian retired abruptly and left a huge mess. And I would like to have managed IT so that I don't encounter that problem again. Also, books and ebooks have increased a great deal, especially ebooks. It is astounding how much those are now, and they're very popular. People love reading them. They don't have to have a book. They can just sit and read on their phone while they're waiting at a doctor's appointment or something, and it's wonderful. But we desperately need this money. Right now, we are closed on Saturdays simply because I don't have enough staff to work on Saturdays because I'm having a hard time hiring people. We did just hire a new branch manager. I have a new person starting orientation next week. So I am hopeful that sometime in July, after they're trained, we'll be able to open again on Saturdays. But right now we are having to close on Saturdays. Trying to keep my my statements brief. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions?
We're a valuable service, we really are. We provide Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, and it's in the parking lot now, so you can get it from your car.
I think we need to have that charter change though, from serving only 2 years.
Oh,
There's a lot of good people out there that would like to continue doing it, so.
yeah. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one on the list is County Agent Ashley Harmon, and she's on Zoom. I think she's asking for just a minor increase. It's based on some formulas that she can explain to you. Ashley, you there?
I'm here. Good morning. Yeah, it's just a minor increase, and it's for our TRS, our teacher retirement system, and it's less than $100. It's actually at $70 for our increase.
It's $71.
Oh, sorry, 71. It's probably like 71.32 or something.
All right, does anybody have any questions on that? All right, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Angela.
But I will say this, Mr. Bill asked me last week about our ag agent position. They had changed it to an educator position. So if you're thinking in terms of the school system, an educator position would be more like a paraprofessional position. So 2 years ago, when Ryan Brown left and UGA was going through a budget cut, they moved our position to an educator position against my wishes, but we didn't have any applicants. It's hard to fill a county agent position. And so it was certainly difficult to fill the educator position. So I'm working to make that position an agent position again. It should not affect the county side budget. They took away the UGA funding of that position and kept the county funded position. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll hear if that position is going to be changed back to an agent position. But again, it should not, I shouldn't be coming to you asking for more money for that agent position because that funding is already there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And that's it, Madam Chair. The rest of the positions we'll discuss those during the regular budget cycle.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Bill. All right, we'll move on to unfinished business. Veronica Dowell, request for funding for the 2022 AUR summer program.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Veronica Dow on behalf of AUR's Summer Enrichment Program and our youth here in Meriwether County.
Madam Chair. After our discussion at the last meeting, when she came and presented, I wanted to see what the previous budget looked like. So I've given you a copy of that was submitted to us by Beverly Bell in 2019 and 2018. The budgets are very similar. I know it was mentioned that we could not use the date fund, had to be very specific. And I can understand that, but we did at one point, 2 times, actually 3 times, allotted $7,000 for it. But after talking to Bill, and I had mentioned how else could we fund this, and I mentioned recreation. So after talking to Bill, he shared with me that under our recreation budget line item, we had a position for 4 people in recreation, but we've only had 2 people working. It was budget 50,000. So he said right now there's currently 30,000 in that account. And then also, I know last year or year before last, we had a walkathon, and that raised some money. It wasn't a lot. It was like 1,300. So there is funding. It's just a matter of how this board wants to fund this program. It is so well needed in the county. We definitely have to have these children involved actively before school start. And knowing that the children have, the past 2 years from COVID, has lost a lot of their learning, and this will allow them to stay on top of everything. So I think what she's asking is very reasonable. We also mentioned that we could help them with their PPE supplies as far as masks and things of that nature. So I just want to bring that to the attention of the board in reference to funding this opportunity.
Okay.
I'd like to add that I do understand that, but I believe that we have actually denied several requests that would have fell under that recreation area as well. Several people have come before us and requested money for types of programs, and we have denied all of that. My worry is that if we approve one under that, where do we put ourselves in opening that door for multiple of these coming before us and not having the money?
Commissioner Threadgill, I understand your concern, and what I would recommend that this board do come up with a process for your nonprofits in your community so they can apply, so that you'll have all that information prior to that. Most counties do provide that, and especially now with the ARPA funds that have been available and encouragement of your nonprofits, especially a lot of your nonprofits may have programs around mental health or after-school program. And I know Coweta County, the city of Noonan, and Troup County has something in place. So if we don't have anything in place, I recommend we go look at that. But in the meantime, this is a program that we have sponsored several years. You said there have been other organizations that came and asked for funding. I would love to, I don't remember, but maybe we have had it. But in the meantime, this program is very vital to the community for our young people. We've got to offer them something. So I'm not sure what else we can do, but knowing that the funding is in recreation and it hasn't been used, then there's an option to use those fundings. And I'd like to hear from the
I
other.
think one of them that came to us with a proposal was Michael Robertson, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
That
was.
was one of them
Okay.
that I remember.
It was 7,000 or 8,000 on that.
And we did turn down. Well, this proposal is 12,000, and we know the $1,250 can be paid through the date fund. It meets the requirements for that. So then that leaves a little over $10,000, 10,700 or something. And I mean, I know it's a good program. I don't really have a problem with us doing some of it through recreation. Like Commissioner Threadgill said, though, we'll have to have something in place for future requests, and I think part of that would have to be that we would have a certain amount in recreation that is allowed for this type of thing, and have a date for applications, a deadline, I guess you would say, and then I would say we would need to go over them and then make a determination. If you had 5 people to apply and they were all viable, then we would just have to divide that money.
But the approval of this coming from the date fund has to be approved by the sheriff.
And I think at our last meeting, he had said the 1,250 was okay.
Right.
Yes, that
Because
is
that comes
correct.
through the date fund, and it meets the requirements of the.
He also made a statement that if the school board was willing to help fund this program, that he could possibly fund more of it. But
Right.
he wanted to see what the school board.
Did you talk to the school board?
I did not.
Because the school board charges, what, 1,900 rent or something, or, yeah,
1943.
yeah, almost
And I
2,000
can-
in rent.
And I can definitely go to them, and if you all were willing to, as you stated, allow us to have this, give us the supplies and the, and the mask or anything that we need moving forward with as far as cleaning goes, then that's portion that we.
Because I remember asking Miss Beverly one year, did she receive funding from other places? And she had told me yes, that there were multiple people
She
that
did, and-
contributed. But are we not continuing to receive those funds? Because there was one year that we didn't meet all of Miss Beverly's, and she was able to get the rest of it from the other funding sources that she had utilized over the year.
And that was the thing, because I did take it over during COVID. And when I took it over during COVID, I have not been able to get those same resources as of yet, because last year was my first year. And since then, still with no uncertainty, and we didn't know if it was still going to happen this year. That's why I decided, when everything was a go, and we decided that we can go ahead and do everything this year. And even the school was kind of more lenient, to talk to Mr. Eric. Then the thing about it is that even though we're going to have to be able to not do so many things, we'll be able to take it even 1 week further into August, because your school system doesn't start, Meriwether doesn't start back till August 11th, when most school systems go back before then. So I was gonna have, make another week of it also until August the 4th. So that was our whole thing of basing on,
I remember asking you last meeting about the liability insurance. Most nonprofits that I know of do carry their own liability, but you stated that y'all do not until it is time for this particular
That's
program
it.
to come forward. But most of those do carry an annual liability insurance, so they don't actually come before us and ask us for the 3,600 on the insurance part of that.
I can check into that. I'm not even sure. That's the way they were doing it.
Right.
So that's the way I kept it. And the thing with that is, we get like $1 million worth of insurance. They're going to cover us at the school and cover over 100 students, which I never realized that it covers sexual harassment, it covers everything that, if anything were to happen, unfortunately, that we would be able to be under it, the umbrella, to be able to say that.
See, with it covering at the schools and all that, it'd be nice if the school board could come up with the 3,600 and the rent for free. That'd be 5,600 of the request.
That's true.
I just don't understand why they can't
Well, I
find a
mean,
place for them to.
well, I mean, they have the Unity School. The school is gonna, lights and everything's gonna be on whether there's someone there or not. So I'm not sure why. And I know the school board, like most school boards and counties, receive opera funds, and part of their opera funds is to address lost learning. So we can't make that decision for them. However, I will say, when I talked to Ms. Beverly, one of the reasons that yes, most nonprofits do have liability insurance, but because they are working with young people and because they're working with kids, that's a different rider that's added on to their policy. Because once again, they've got to screen people, hopefully for, sexual, their background checks and all of this. So yes, they do carry regular insurance and that, but when they're dealing with children, that's an additional cost.
Do you
So
have a copy of what you actually carry now?
Yes, I can get you that.
I'd like to see that, just to see what's covered on that, because I don't think we do have a copy.
I have one question on you've taken off the amount for the drivers for the field trips.
Because I added it into, and because, like we're saying, inflation, I had no clue what it would actually cost. I just got a round cost because
You have 0 on that, but then you still have van rental, so
that's
who's
why I put
gonna?
it into that. I was not gonna worry about paying the drivers or anything. If it was gonna be myself or whoever.
Okay, and because I see where you're asking the parents to transport also, okay.
Madam Chair, I have one observation I think we probably need. With this funding or any other funding that we do, we need something of an accounting at the end of the year as to how the money was spent. So I would like to make that conditional on what we do here.
And I also have another question. Because this is just a seasonal thing that we do, throughout the rest of the months out there that this is not happening, are there fundraisers or things going on with the organization to try to make money toward the next year?
And that was the thing with starting up this year. That's why I was saying, since we didn't know if this year was gonna be any different from last year based on COVID and the new cases and so forth, then next year could be a case that we could just start then. Because normally we, as far as I know, that she was getting, she was going after money like the Dollar General and different things like that.
Because I
But
think
there's only so
donut
many.
sales and all that makes really good. You can make up money and put
Oh,
that
yes.
up and have some toward all of this at the beginning of each season that you do.
Oh, yes, most definitely. And with me being new, my thing is, because I do have the background in doing the fundraising part and different things like that, everything was still so uncertain. With everything being so uncertain, it's still like, if you give someone money here, like you said, or someone money there, then the thing about it is that they're going to try to, see, like I said, the Dollar General. I know that if so many people get the Dollar General here in Meriwether County, then they're not going to give it to everybody because they base that on that.
One of the questions I'd like to address is the field trips and going out of the county. And I guess my concern primarily is the cost of gas and transportation. Have you looked at trying to do your field trips in the county? And I would highly recommend the Little White House and the Fish Hatchery. And there's activities that can be done with any of these programs. There's a Junior Ranger program that I know I've worked jointly with the Little White House as well as the hatchery, but the school also has other programs and all that could be addressed on site for these 2 locations or whatever. And it gives the children an opportunity to see what is local and address that. But
that was my thing also. I did put the museum here downtown in Greenville. That was one of my field trips. But the thing about that is that my thing was to take them outside, because I wanted them, well, it's just us with the people that have talked about it. We wanted them to see also what's on the outside, because I know some of them have been to the hatchery or to the Little White House and different things like that. But stem cell, a lot of them have not been exposed to that, and we're not even going out of the county for that, or for some of the healthcare things that we were talking about, like making bath salts and different things like that that are non-toxic. Or we had last year we had a young lady that came in and she did sign language with the youth, and they learned us how to do sign language for a spiritual song in a few minutes. It was not even long, and she was really impressed by that. Then I had a person come and do arts and crafts with them, in addition to all of the reading that we did and any type of other activities that we did last year.
Well, I'm gonna go back to the cost of gasoline and what we can anticipate, and by mid-July, unless there's another relief on the,
Yes, ma'am.
it's going up.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I definitely.
So just the cost of transportation alone, I just recommend local.
Yes, ma'am.
In my opinion, I don't have a problem with taking something from our recreation, the money that you've mentioned to do that. I won't be here on the board next year, but my suggestion would be that the board put something in place before this comes up next year and have something, like either some kind of announcement that we're gonna use, I'm just using this roundabout, we're gonna use $20,000 out of recreation to help fund things for the kids to do. Our deadline to apply would be a certain day, and then they would just have to come, because like I said, you might have 10 people, or you might just have one. It might just be Ms. Dowell to come. But then if you have more, then somebody's gonna have to sit down and go over those and then divide that money up. That would be my suggestion.
Let me ask you this also, if we give a certain percentage of this and not the entire amount, would the program continue?
As far as sustainability, moving
No,
forward?
if we only gave you, say, 5,000, including the 1,250 for the date, would you be able to do the program for the
We
summer?
would welcome anything, because we would have to make whatever you all give us work moving forward. Because the thing about it is that even as Ms. Plant, said, doing things even locally, if that was we can also always alter the schedule, because nothing is etched in stone, although it's written in type. But if we had to make amendments, we could always do that and make adjustments.
And I don't want you to think we're sitting up here nitpicking
Oh,
it
no.
apart, because we've approved it every year that it's come before us. Does that mean yes, we are? But we also have to be mindful of where we put money also, because of the increase that it's happened over the years. We've never not given money to have this program, but it has become where there are more and more programs starting up within the county. And like we said, several have come before us, and I am sure that there will be more to come. So if we do for one that we know is a good program and has been sustained for all these years, we can't say that the one coming behind you won't be just as good. So we can't justify it on that part. I think we have to justify it on where do we set a limit on these programs, because we do have additional things that we have to take out of tax money to pay throughout the county, and we are only a percentage of the tax amount that comes in from property tax.
Can I make just one last thing? I just wanted to say, I totally get that and I totally understand it. And when it comes down to the bottom line for me, because I live in LaGrange, but my thing is, a lot of people didn't know that my family and my mom, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, everybody born and raised in Manchester. So this is totally my home. I didn't come down here just to work, just to do this, or just to do anything when I was asked to take over this program. And even in doing that, I know that if anything were given, it would given, I would hope and I would pray that it would be given out, kindness of your hearts. Even that, with that being said, that there's a sustainability, because Miss Beverly and her family has been running this program for so many years. And I've done like summer programming with them as far as drug prevention goes and different things like that. But in doing that and bringing resources down here also, my thing is just, anything, if it were not the max amount, because if you didn't give us the 12,000, I totally understand that, or the 1,200 or whatever, anything in addition to, and as part of the recreation goal, we would be doing the recreational part or everything else when it comes to making sure our youth are safe and making sure they're taken care of and making sure they're in a good environment. And they don't and having Unity Elementary School was a great opportunity because we didn't have to go outside as hot as it was, but we did go outside for a lot of our things that we did. And a lot of our parents are going to be asking for this again because they didn't want it to end. So with us going all the way to August the 4th, I felt like there was a good opportunity for us to be able to do something for the youth here too.
Madam Chair, once again, as she stated, AURS has been around for over 25 years, and they've been very effective in this county. And they have a good history of working with Meriwether County and with the youth. And they've done programs in Luthersville, in Woodbury, and in Greenville. And the reason they're not in Greenville anymore, which they wanted to be as a central location, the school is filled with mold. So they didn't have a lot of options as where they could put the program. So I just feel like we definitely need to find a way to sponsor this. And so I'm going to put this in a motion that we give them $7,000 and that we also give them the PPE, the masks and everything else that we said we could do to cut down costs. And that will give them something to start with. I'm sure if they were able to do fundraisers, which I know Ms. Beverly has done over the years, they would have, but with the pandemic, it eliminates how many fundraisers you could do. But either way, I feel like this is a good opportunity for us to fund it. And yes, we do need to come up with another method of making sure nonprofits get money. So I said a whole lot and not in a motion, but my motion is $7,000 and also supply them with the PPE masks and things of that nature. And I put that in a motion.
Question, does the 7,000 include the date fund?
That's what I was.
Is that in addition to the date fund money or
Because it's $12.50 that they're coming out of
that
that.
we know will come out of the date fund?
How much, $12.50? Hold on a second. And the total amount was 12?
That'd be $57.50 and $12.50, I believe, for 7,000.
Right.
Or the 7,000 plus the 1250?
The
But you all-
$12.50 is coming out of the date fund, so that gives
You
them.
also
right-
said the supplies too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is another 350.
Okay, in that case, I'll bring it down to 6,000. And then that includes the date fund money and the PPE.
Plus that. Okay.
Plus
Plus the 6,000 plus the
So
1250.
7,600 total with the date fund.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll second that. Any questions or discussion?
What was the total again? I missed it.
6,000. Isn't that what you said? Plus the date fund.
Okay. All right.
in the PPE.
Thank
You
you.
may want to do a total number just so everybody's on the same page.
7,600 including the date.
7,600, including the funds from the date fund. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we move on to new business. Recognize 2022 graduating seniors of county employees. Ms. Irizarry.
Yes, Madam Chair and Board, we would like to recognize several employees who have shared that their children or grandchildren are 2022 graduates. Alan Alexander Smith is the son of Fire Chief Alan Smith. He attended Daytona State University and graduated with a BS in engineering. He will be working as an engineer with Greensback Corporation, not sure I said that correctly. He also served for 4 years in the Marine Corps as a combat engineer and 4 years in the Army as military intelligence. He graduated from college debt-free. Britt Neely Carroll is the daughter of Chairman Beth Neely Hadley and Deputy Chief Byron Hadley. Brittany attended Jones School of Law, Faulkner University. She will be working as a public defender in LaGrange and will have a private practice in Manchester as well.
I will say she's already passed the bar too.
And she's passed the bar. Nathan Randall Gibson is the son of our Superior and Juvenile Court Clerk Kai Gibson. Nathan will be graduating from Southwestern State University in December 2022 with a BA in History and minor in Marketing. He is currently working with the college and the Sumter County Chamber in marketing design and promotion of ads for special events and social media. He is in the process of launching his own business, Peach 365, that will create content and promote small businesses on social media platforms. And last but not least, we have Angela Garrett Murphy, daughter of Rose LaPlante. She will be graduating from University of West Virginia with her specialist degree in early childhood education, July 2022.
Georgia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't read my writing. I'm sorry.
It's okay. My apologies.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Congratulations to all.
Absolutely.
I know you're proud of your daughter.
I am. All right, next be, presentation of the annual report by Malden and Jenkins.
Madam Chair, we have Meredith Lipscomb here from Malden and Jenkins to present the annual report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Again, my name is Meredith Lipson. I'm from Malden and Jenkins CPA firm out of our Atlanta office. And we began doing the annual audit for the county for their 2020
yeah.
2020 fiscal year. The previous auditors, Abbott, Jordan, and Kuhn, were getting out of the governmental auditing business, and we were fortunate enough to work with them to transfer their governmental clients to our practice, and we are thrilled to be able to work with Meriwether County. I believe you have two documents. One looks like this with the picture, and the other is the actual financial statements, financial report. Correct. Y'all's look a little different. Y'all's are bound.
Okay.
Sorry. It's a lot of information, and I know that you all do not want me to stand up here and go through it. So what I'd like to do is focus on this document, the one with the picture on it.
Okay.
This is what we refer to as our auditor's discussion and analysis. It kind of gives you an overview of the audit process, hits some highlights, then goes through some of the findings or recommendations that we have, and then also gives you some information on some of the government standards that you all will have to implement in your financial reporting process going forward. So, and I won't even go through this page by page. I'm just going to hit the highlights if that's okay.
Okay.
If you turn to page 4 in the document with the picture on the front, this explains a little bit about our auditor's report. Just a couple things to note. The financial statements are the responsibility of management. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on those financial statements based on the audit process and our audit procedures. We did issue an unmodified report. That is the clean opinion, the one that you want to get. So we did have a clean opinion. There is some supplementary information that's included in the financial statements that we've not expressed an opinion on, but we've expressed more of an in relation to opinion on, and that's very typical of governmental audit reports. Then if you'll turn to page 6, I know that most of what you all focus on is your general fund. That's really kind of the heart and soul of the county operations. Most of your departments are in there. Your other funds, the smaller funds that you have, those funds, whatever revenues come into them, are earmarked for certain things. You can't just use them as you want. That's why they're referred to as special revenue funds. But your general fund, again, is the heart and soul of your operations. So if you look here on page 6, you can see a graph, a pie chart of the revenue sources for fiscal year 2021. Total revenues were approximately $17,173,000. Revenues in the previous year were approximately $16,900,000. So you did have a slight increase, about $270,000 in your revenues from 2020 to 2021. And of course, Meriwether County, like all county and city governments, the largest source of your revenues, of course, is your property taxes. The following page, you can see the general fund expenditures broken down by function. As with most governments, public safety is your largest expenditure. Total expenditures for the year were $14,265,000. Prior year were 14,613,000. The majority of your departments came in under budget, which is great. I mean, you always want that to happen. And so the most significant variances were a decrease in your general government expenditures and an increase in your public works expenditures. But overall, your expenditures did decrease about $300,000 to $400,000. So fund balance of your general fund at September 30, 2021 was approximately $4.4 million. That's an increase from the previous year of approximately $1,685,000. So again, you all had a balanced budget. Your revenues came in higher than expected. Your expenditures were lower than anticipated. And that's what resulted in the $1,600,000 increase in your fund balance. And what you have to remember is fund balance is just the difference between your assets and your liabilities. It doesn't necessarily mean money to spend. Because, assets are, some of it's cash, but some of it's other type of assets that you're not going to immediately generate cash flow. So
There's an actual typo under other governmental funds on page 7. The county also maintains 7, and then you have in parentheses 8.
I apologize for that. I believe there are 7. I will get that corrected. So back to your fund balance. A lot of our governmental clients ask us, well, what is a good fund balance to have? I mean, how does our fund balance compare to other counties? You all spend approximately $1.1 to $1.2 million a month in your expenditures. So if you look at the $4.4 million you have in fund balance, that technically is about 4 months worth of expenditures. There is no right answer about the amount of fund balance you should have. What we generally recommend is 3 to 5 months, which you all fall right within there. Now, if you were a big metropolitan county with a lot of growth, a lot of activity going on, we would generally recommend that your fund balance be higher because you've got a lot of unknown expenditures coming. But I think for Meriwether County, you have a very good, strong fund balance. Going forward, I know that all of our governments have been helped with the stimulus money, the ARPA funds, and so forth. So again, you all have a good, strong fund balance. As I mentioned, and as you can tell on the bottom of page 7, and you all do have several special revenue funds, and you've got 3 capital project funds, and then the Industrial Development Authority is also considered a component unit that's blended in. And as I mentioned, all of the revenues that come into those special revenue funds and a lot of what comes into the capital project funds, like your SPLOST, those are earmarked for certain things. You can't just take those and use them for general fund expenditures, and that's why they're separated in separate funds. The next page just gives you, on page 8, gives you a brief explanation of the footnotes. There's, again, a lot of information in your financial report. So this just kind of breaks down very brief summary of what's included in those footnotes in the other document. Let's see. Pages 10 through 12 is information that we as auditors are required to communicate to you all under the standards that guide us. Basically, information about accounting policies, the fact that there's estimates included as part of the audit process. We do have to bring to your attention that if we had any issues during the audit process, and of course we did not. Your management was phenomenal. Everything that we needed, they get us, very quickly. And then beginning on page 13, and extending for a couple of pages, are our findings and recommendations. A good bit of information there. The findings that we have relate to internal controls and closing out of the books at year end. This is not something that's new. We as auditors are not supposed to close out your books and make your journal entries and then audit that we have just done. And so we've worked with Bill and the finance department and been able to kind of together make those adjustments. But some of our adjustments hit that benchmark that we are required to report them as findings. And so that's why you see this here included in the report. Again, we did issue an unmodified clean opinion. And you've got a good, strong financial report. And then after that, there's just page after page of government auditing standards that are going to be required to be implemented in the coming years. Most of them are financial reporting related, and so we will certainly work with the finance department to make sure that that those are implemented properly. I'll be more than happy to discuss any aspect of the audit in more detail. This, I know, was a very brief overview and didn't include everything. So please let me know if you have questions. And again, I'm more than happy to work with any of you that want to sit down and take a look at the financial statements and go through them to better understand them, because again, it is a lot of information.
I have one question, Madam Chair. I noticed on 13, you're talking here about items cited as far as material weaknesses. When you look at our county, Water Sewage Authority, Industrial Development Authority, we're a small county. How do we prevent some of the overlap you're talking about there? Because we do use different people, I mean, the same people in different roles.
Right. That segregation of duties issue is something that's very prevalent in our small governments, where you don't have enough people, enough staff to really completely segregate those duties so that no one individual is, responsible for all aspects of a transaction. And we know that. We know that it's the cost of hiring additional staff to adequately segregate all of those duties is far outweighs any benefit for doing that. But as auditors, we just have to communicate that to you all so that you are aware that there are some segregation of duties issues. And again, it's prevalent among even some of our larger governments have a tough time with it, just not having enough staff to do it.
So it just doesn't quite align with your standard.
Right, not our standards, but the government auditing
standards.
standards. It's not, yes, it's not a.
What we have been able to do, Commissioner McCoy, is bring on another staff member, having two positions. That would be Tammy Lackey, and some of the functions that I was performing and approving, now she's performing them and I'm approving them, so we do have a separation there. That's something we needed to do for years, we just hadn't been able to afford doing it until now.
And I understand that, Mr. Bill, you and I both getting kind of long in the tooth, so we'll be out of here one day.
Y'all of us.
Anybody else have any questions?
It's a lot to read.
It is a lot to read,
I'll come
and
back and ask later.
Mr. Bill, you may can correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't been that many years ago that we had a negative fund balance.
Yes, ma'am, when Thayer and I came on board, we were about 2.5 negative.
Negative, that's right.
And a tan every year.
And that's what I want to say to the citizens and the people that are that are listening here. You heard her say, our revenues are up, our expenses are down. That didn't just happen by accident. The credit goes to our constitutional officers, our department heads, and our finance staff here.
The Board of Commissioners.
Well,
Not really.
if y'all didn't do it, y'all have got to do it in order for us to approve it. You know what I mean? So I just want the citizens to hear that. Revenues are up, expenses are down. We have a positive fund balance. And it just wasn't that many years ago, because I went to a class, a CCG class, we had to take our budget. And they stood up there and talked about everybody's budget. When they got to Meriwether County, they were talking about we had a negative fund balance. I mean, I could have died.
They did it when I went too.
I was early on the board then, but that is a good thing. And we haven't had a tax anticipation note in several years now. And if people don't know what that is, that's where you borrow money based on the taxes are going to come in December. And this county has had a tax anticipation note for many, many years, up until about
4 or 5 years.
5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe. I'm not sure. So those are good things. I just hope the people, the citizens are listening to that, because all that doesn't happen just by fluke. It comes by hard work, good choices. And like I said, it's easy to sit back and criticize what happens financially, but until you're behind this desk or you're actually there working in these departments, you don't know what it takes to make this happen. So I thank you for your report. I thank you for all the information. And like Commissioner Hines said, there's a lot here for us to read, and we might have some questions once we read through it, but thank you for the report. Thank you, Bill, and your staff, and to our department heads and constitutional officers for the decisions that they have made that have led to this report.
That 4 million won't last long with gas prices.
That is true, that is true.
No, fuel's gonna eat up a lot of it.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to present the audit to you all. If after you look at the documents and you have additional questions, I'm more than happy to come out here and talk with you about those. But again, we appreciate the opportunity to work with you all. Bill and his group are great to work with. You know, everything we need, they get to us very quickly, and it makes our job a little
I
easier.
do have a question. Are you the manager over that particular, or over this particular company, or?
I'm an audit partner with
Okay,
Malden and
because I was
Gibson.
gonna say, the employees that were here were very professional, and we appreciate that very much.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay, next we'll move to number 4, approve the 2022-2023 ACCG property and liability renewal and allow the chair to sign.
Again, this is a lot of information as well. I'm a little bit hesitant about,
Don't be. We've already saw it. Seen it.
Yes, we have.
caught us off guard. You've had a chance to look at it, and you know, you see the total contribution that they're asking for, and then less the credits they give us for a net amount of $375,000. And thankfully, they give us, the breakdown on the very first page with how they calculate the general liability. And what surprises me, it shouldn't, but it does, is the amount, almost 64% of the premium is attributable to the automobile liability and, auto physical damage. It's 64% of what we pay is due to that. And we continue to buy equipment and vehicles. The new fire station across the street came on board with this year, and everything just caught me. Additionally, we've had a lot of claims the last year too. Beverly can attest to that. She and Allison stay busy tracing down money from the insurance company. We chasing down repairs on these vehicles. So,
Bill, I'd like to make a recommendation that next year we go out for an RFP on this.
we've already talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to do something instead of just settling for ACCG's amount every year with an increase. We need to bid this out and shop it.
Also, I'd like to, the next 3 to 6 months, sit down with them and have them go over the whole program with us, and they allow us to have an audit or a reassessment of all of our equipment and vehicles to make sure we're not over-insuring some of that stuff, and I'm sure we probably are. And to do that, but, Michelle and I and Beverly have talked about doing the RFP next, it'll be right after the first of the year probably to do it. It's too late to do it now. Right. So, really nothing we can do except accept this at this point in time. You can,
I mean, it covers a lot of things, though.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
we-
you think about all like you said, the vehicles alone that we have to cover. I mean, it's just pages here.
pages
But
and-
we've surplused a lot of things too, and if they're still included on that, I mean,
So we have to
need.
make
think-
sure all that gets turned into Beverly or to whomever, so they know to take those off too. So that's
it-
a lot.
Madam Chair.
Uh-huh.
Or Bill, you know how sometimes, I don't know if this works the same way as the health insurance, when you have certain, like in health insurance, you have wellness programs, you have different programs to kind of offset the costs. since you said a lot of our cost was due to vehicle damage, didn't we just have one 2 weeks ago? On the vehicle damage? Yeah.
Yes, we did.
So if there's something in place that when you have a good record of not having that, that they can offset the cost or something like that? And can we also start providing some kind of educational option for some of our employees to understand the safety of, you know, their driving habits and things of this nature? Because you're saying 60%, did you say 60% of our increase was due to vehicles being damaged, or?
Just vehicles
That's
and
just
tow.
the
tow.
contribution.
Part of that is damages, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's just vehicles in
As you
general.
know, ACCG has a program for everything.
There is one, there's a program, Local Government Risk Management,
Okay,
and they, Brent actually is on our safety committee, so they meet, I think, once a month and discuss some of the accidents and what can do to prevent this. And some of the, claims too, we have some that regard our roads, where citizens have filed claims for different things with their vehicles due to our roads, and that's fairly new over the last few years, so.
But we need to look at, is there some type of technology that can be added to county vehicles that will help decrease these premiums as well? Because there's a lot of things out there for safe drive. Are there certain vehicles we need to look forward as far as purchasing with this equipment on it that will help to decrease all of this? So we need to look into all of that.
We also had a lot of deer claims, though. Oh, my.
I think overall, we just need to fine tune our efforts with regard to all the different coverages to make sure that what we're being charged is accurate.
Right, because we need to make sure whatever we are being charged for vehicles at 64%, that every vehicle on there is legitimate.
and it's operable.
Right.
Right.
Because I'll be willing to bet you there's probably one or two on here that has been surplus.
And that goes for the general liability with regard to payroll. That's $8 million worth of exposure we have, or 23%. We need to make sure that we're not covering everybody that works for the county, because a lot of us don't drive county vehicles.
That's right.
We just need to, I'm sure that's not the case here, but, you know, we just need to fine tune those coverages, and we'll get that done before the end of the year, in preparation of the RFP.
Madam Chair, I know it's high, but you realize it covers every vehicle with every department. I mean,
Yeah, that's why, it's just ages of
quite
vehicles.
overwhelming.
But it went up 50,000.
That's true too.
With that said, it's staff's recommendation that we accept the proposal from ACCG and allow the chair to sign the documents.
All right. We have a motion to accept the proposal and allow the chair to sign.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Discussion and call for lost redistribution.
Madam Chair and Board, as we know, which is local option sales tax, must be renegotiated every 10 years after the census. The county must begin this process by July 1st. Formal renegotiations require Meriwether County to notify all qualified cities and the Department of Revenue that renegotiations are underway before July 1st. Once this is initiated, we must approve a renegotiated distribution certificate within 60 days, or we'll have to go to arbitration or mediation. If an agreement is not reached by December 30th, loss will cease. I do want to remind everyone that T-SPLOST are different from lost. Those are for special projects, while lost proceeds must be used to reduce the property taxes and roll back the millage rates. Between Mr. Gay, myself, and Chairman Neely Hadley, we have met with all of the cities except for Woodbury and Pine Mountain. Staff's recommendation is to formally schedule a renegotiation meeting with the cities and notify the Georgia Revenue Commissioner no later than June 27th. There are letters and resolutions for the cities as well as the IGA for distribution in your packets.
So we just got to set a date for this
Yes, ma'am.
today? Okay. You'll have recommendations of a date or just?
No later than the 27th. Our next meeting, I think, is the 28th.
You're saying set the date by the 27th or You
No,
say
no
on the
later
sec-
than the 27th.
Okay. Do you know if the city councils have to pass this from each individual municipality?
Not until after that meeting.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Karen, do you have anything to
I
add?
was gonna add, you don't have to, the whole board doesn't have to be, you could appoint, chairman, vice chairman to meet, and then it will be brought back. That's what some of the cities are doing, and they're gonna meet, talk about it. Purpose of our meeting up front was to just simply inform them of what it was doing, what was gonna be coming up, and we gave them all a population, but we still haven't really got into formal distribution discussions. But it doesn't have to be the entire board, but we do need to get it done as soon as possible. And once we notify the revenue commissioner, that 60-day clock starts ticking. So just wanted to mention that.
Michelle, Madam Chair.
Beth and Brian, handle it.
I want to know, what is the current percentage?
Say what I want to say.
You know
my
what the
mic.
current percentage is?
It's on this.
Yeah, it's in
It's
here.
on this page here, what the county's getting and then what the cities are getting right here.
So that right there, unincorporated
It
60.
was done in 2010, so that was the percentage then. And then this will give you how the population has changed with the new census.
Okay,
And
okay,
it gives that.
okay. Thank you.
I'm good for any morning if we do it. It won't take long.
Look at the 20th or the 21st. That would give us the week before the.
Close on the 20th.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right,
we are
won't be
closed
on
on
the
the
20th, okay. The 21st or 21st, 22nd, or 23rd, as far as the mornings. 21st. Is that
Okay with it?
whoever,
Could you come?
and whoever can be here or wants to participate? We just need to know, I guess, I guess it'll be an announced meeting anyway.
Sure.
You know, so if we have a quorum here, it won't matter.
Right.
I'm good with 21st.
9 AM?
Yep.
21st? Of June, yes. That's a week before the deadline they have suggested.
So 9 AM on the 21st.
Is this a special call?
Yes.
Yes. For loss. Negotiations and redistribution, is that proper way to say it? And so once we do that, the clock starts, everything has to be done
Within 60
within
days.
60 days. Do we need to do that, make a motion? All right, have a motion to set the loss negotiation and redistribution meeting for June 21st at 9 AM. I make that in form of a motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, discussion of airport hangar development and financing.
Madam Chair and Board, on February 22nd, at that meeting, the Board of Commissioners did approve the Airport Authority to finance 1.7 million for the county and, I'm sorry, for the hangars. Now what we have to move to is for the county to support the hangar development and financing.
Okay.
Madam Chair, this is just more or less an endorsement, right?
It is, we'll have to, because it's just not as simple as y'all saying we back it. There'll be some legal work we'll have to do to bring back before this board, potentially bring some documentation back before this board. But it wouldn't be y'all going into debt on this. So we're gonna need to we're working through the particulars to get it done. So this is more of just your statement of support. It's my understanding, at least.
And there's information included on the issue paper. And Mr. Gay can answer any of those questions.
I'd be happy to answer any questions that we have. Some people here today to be able to, Alan and Jay, to be able to speak to it. Bill and I met with Alan from F&M Bank, and we looked at what we're gonna do. It's 1 T hangar with 10 aircraft and 2 end units, and then it's a box hangar that holds 3 larger aircraft. Loan would be for the estimated amount of construction plus closing costs would be a 25-year term. And they have worked with us on being able to cap the periodic increases of the term. And there would be, everything would be fixed for 60 months, and then it couldn't go up more than 2%. And Alan is here, he could let you know about that. One other thing we would recommend, and this kind of gets back to the audit, if the county agrees to basically support this, we would recommend that the financing that it's done and the check writing and the bills and all that are produced and managed by the airport authority come back under the guidance of our finance department here. That way we can ensure there's consistency, not that there's not, because I know there is, but it just helps us manage. The airport authority is a small group. Bill has professional, accountants and all that work with him. And we just think with the county being involved in it, it would be better to have it managed within finance. And that'd be one suggestion that we would make. I think Michelle, Bill, and I talked about that. So be happy to answer any questions like Alan is saying here. They can answer better than I can probably, but.
Just out of curiosity, now, legal would be handled then by the county. Is that correct?
It would be, we would have to have our county attorney will look at it. Roger Murray, I think, will look at. Roger's a bond attorney, and Nathan and I worked with Roger for many, many years, and I think they have too. And we chose not to go with a bond. A bond is something that if you are going to borrow a lot of money, you can spread the legal cost and all the printing cost and everything over a larger amount of dollars. When you're doing a relatively small item like this, and I know it's a lot of money to me, but in corporate world, it's not. You're better off to do it the way we're doing it, because the bond issuance fees are almost the same for $1 million as they are for $50 million. So that's the way, this is set up to work. But there will be attorneys from the various sides.
Oh, yeah, yes, ma'am. Well, I mean, I discussed with Mr. Parham, and a bond financing is technically an option, but the legal costs alone involved with putting a bond together and all that does not make, Mr. Gay's right. I mean, one time I had a client run it, usually it's about $20 million, $25 million that you're borrowing before it makes sense to go the bond route. It's just a math problem for what you can get on the regular market versus what you can get on the bond market, for lack of a better term. And it's just not, there's other ways to do it. They're much more cost effective for everybody involved.
I think, just for the record, Madam Chair, and Alan, I'll call on you to ask, but I think all of the T hangars have been rented, deposits have been paid, and I believe 2 of the maintenance hangars have been spoken for.
That's
Is that
what I
correct?
understand. I'm going to collect as part of my underwriting process. And Commissioners, I'm Alan Parham with F&M Bank and Trust. I think all of you know me, Mr. Lee. But at any rate, yeah, as they reported me, all those have been pre-leased. And I think the storage units as well. The structure that we discussed, because of the cost of the bond financing, is basically a loan, a direct loan to the Meriwether County Airport Authority, with an intergovernmental contract and a guarantee from the Board of Commissioners. And I discussed this with Mr. Murray yesterday. We will take a deed secured debt on the airport itself, as we have done in the past. If you recall, our relationship, or F&M's relationship with the county and the airport authority, goes back a ways. We assisted when they purchased some land back in, I think it was 2009. We purchased 134 additional acres. I think it was on the north side from an entity called Heartstar. But essentially, this transaction is a little different in that it's a longer term. And not to get into too many details, but I mean, we are talking about a 25-year amortized note. What we have proposed at F&M is a loan that's based on prime. And what I told Mr. Gay and Mr. Gregory was that we would, even though I know that Federal Reserve Board will move prime this month, F&M will hold that rate for the first, it's currently at 4% for the first period, as a commitment to the county, but at least for 90 days. Now, if we can't get this done in 90 days, which I don't anticipate that'll be a problem, but we will take that as collateral, and it will be a loan to the airport authority guaranteed by the county, just so there's no confusion. There will be a long-term loan. Now, there's no kind of prepayment penalties, anything like the county gets ready to pay it off. But I agree with Mr. Lee. To do this as a bond, it would cost us an excessive amount of money. This would be a much cheaper way to put it together. And there will be a more formal request brought back. Mr. Murray has all the paperwork brought back for y'all to the formal approval. But we just wanted to, as he said yesterday in an email to me, get the green light, so to speak, make sure y'all are comfortable with finance and ask me any questions you had. So we appreciate the opportunity to work with the county as always. So if y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions? That's good.
So
All
thank
right,
you.
so what do we need to do today? Do we need to take any kind of action?
I just vote say we, that you
For them to
you're
pursue-
interested in supporting moving forward.
Okay. All right, and we have a motion saying that we are moving forward with this loan.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you, Al. We'll bring something back to you. Hard numbers.
Screw yourself with that. They just screw themselves with that.
All right, number 7, that was added to the agenda, Keep Meriwether Beautiful fencing. We talked about this at our last meeting. It was brought to our attention that we didn't actually ever vote on it. I don't
Correct.
think.
Yes, we talked about it more so in the work session. Public Works has gotten a quote for $6,100, and that is for 300 feet of 6-foot temp panels. And they'll be able to set those up and take them down.
And this will be for 2 sites, I
That's
believe.
for two
Cover
sites. That's
Okay.
correct, yes.
And this will be something we'll be able to use
Over and over.
over and over.
Yes.
Okay. All right, hidden recommendation, do we have, what would the board like to do?
I make a motion to move forward.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, Mr. Bill.
Which funding source do we want?
Don't ask that. All right. Amend the motion to include, to use splash funds.
So moved.
All in favor? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next was an addition to the agenda, and that was LMIG changes. This was something else that we had discussed, I believe in our work session and maybe in our meeting regarding Forest Road, and I think Commissioners Plant and Hines actually have information on that.
Yes, Madam Chair, been receiving, and Commissioner Plant and I've talked about this, but the calls that I'm getting about Forest Road is just unreal. So I have some pictures of Forest Road, and Commissioner Plant will go a little bit more in detail, but we did do a part of Forest Road about 2 or 3 years ago. But the other section of it, it has just got sections that have extreme potholes, and they've been worked on so many times. I went and got a report from Public Works to show the amount of times they've had to go out and work on this road. And this is, let's see here. And it's just extensive. That's not,
That's not Forest Road.
that's not
is it?
Forest Road.
I
That's,
thought Forest Road was bigger than that.
okay, okay, go back to that other one that he just showed. That's why I wanted to show a comparison. Okay, that's Forest Road. That's Forest Road. Now, that is not Forest Road. That is Weaver Park Road. I don't know, that's Weaver Park Road. I don't know how that got on the list, but there's no one who lives on that road. Half of that road got closed off about 3 years ago. That's Weaver Park Road. I know I sent you some, you keep showing us the good road. No, that's Weaver Park Road. Okay.
That's it.
You don't, well, he said, well, anyway, Forest Road definitely needs to be resurfaced this year. And what really brought it more to my attention, other than citizen calling, at the last commissioner meeting when we had the representative from GDOT here, and when we asked them about Coleman Bridge Road, and he implied that they're hopefully going to put the bid out in August, hopefully, which means maybe next year they'll start working on the road, and they're going to detour on 154. So you and I all know that that means they're gonna come down on Forest Road. There's no if, and, buts about it. So I want to make a recommendation that that Weaver Park Road, the amount that we've set aside, that we use that towards Forest, Road. And Commissioner Plant will go in more detail because I think she's talked with Bill more in detail about how we can do that.
Okay, we went out, actually, this was probably before that, whenever it was, I don't have a date. But Forest Road from Cousins to the city limits of Lone Oak is 3 miles. The first mile off of Forest for 100 was addressed, and that was, I believe, a full depth reclamation. When you hit Cousins, I mean, it's so noticeably different that you've got major areas for that 3 mile stretch. To address the full 3 miles, we're looking at $1,526,870 to do the 3 mile stretch. If we go back and just address the major patches, and if you
Right,
can
that's it.
see
Yes.
this area,
Yep.
Public Works will go out, they will address where the potholes are, but the road is in such poor shape that it's gonna need full depth reclamation. If we address the 5 patches, we're looking at $337,706. If we take from King Road, which was allotted $193,357.62, and Weaver Parks, $88,223.44. We're looking at $281,581.06, which is a difference of $56,225 that we had for the LMIG funding addressed for those 2 roads. So my recommendation is that we've got to do something on Forest Road. We need to do the full 5-patch area, which will address some of the road, but it won't address all 3 miles. So $337,706 is what is needed for the 5 patches. And I do not have locations on the patches, but I do know that it is from the city limits of Lone Oak south to Cousins Road. And if anyone would like to go up and ride that road, I would say, please use caution. You cannot travel at a high rate of speed. When you hit these areas, I know personally, just going down the road, you can hit a pothole. And I had just had my car realigned when I hit one, and I'm thinking, oh geez. So with that being said, we definitely need to do something with Forest Road. And
So if we take Weaver Parks Road, the amount committed to that, and King Road, we still need $56,225 to be able to cover these 5 patches. Is that right?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
we need 337, that top figure there, 337,706. Now, I wish Mr. Bill was here to make sure, is this the latest amount? I feel pretty sure it is that Piedmont gave on the cost for full depth reclamation. I know it increased.
You may
Yeah.
want to look into that, I'm not sure. But we could
I
find
texted
out.
him, he hasn't answered.
He was on Zoom a few minutes ago.
There he is. There's Mr. Bill.
Wow.
Don't sit
Yeah, don't even sit down.
We talked you up.
I got back and I was listening.
I'm sharing the information you gave me on Forest Road, more complaints and more issues with Forest. And the 5 patches that you suggested that we address on that 3-mile stretch from Cousins to south, the city limits of Lone Oak. You want to jump in? I don't remember that we discussed the exact patch areas, but I know.
I've got them marked out, but it's 5 different sections that are in complete base failure. So they need to come back with either need deep patch them or do some full depth reclamation on those. But that doesn't really address that entire 3-mile section, which is it's in really bad shape, and it's going to continue to deteriorate in the areas that we don't patch. So, it's just going to be an ongoing project.
And those prices on the patches just is based on, prices we had in our current bid. It could be a little more, it could be a little bit less.
Let me ask a question. With the detour coming, with those trucks that will come through that area, would it really at this time be beneficial to even do those patches if those trucks are going to come through there? Because we know what's going to happen. Either they're going to tear up the patches and the rest of the road, or they're just going to tear up the rest of the road. So are we wanting to wait till after that detour to come back in and do that? Or do we want to put that money in there to fix it? And I know we need to fix it, but it's probably, if all those 18-wheelers are detoured through there, it's probably going to tear it up in a matter of months.
Well, that's not gonna be the actual detour.
But it'd be part of it.
Well, it's not
It's not,
supposed to
they're just
be.
saying that people, it's not
But we-
supposed to,
but,
they
yeah.
may use it.
They may
To go
use
from
it
Luthersville all the way to almost
Yeah.
Hogansville to get on 100,
to
but
get on
And
100.
even though it's going,
But we know they will.
they're gonna let it in
But even
August, that doesn't mean that they're gonna do it.
But that doesn't mean they're gonna do it. It's just like, they may not even get to it, but in the meantime, the citizens and those who live on that road, I mean, wouldn't you say, Commissioner Plant, there's at least 100 houses on that road?
Oh, yeah.
At least, and so it's really bad. I mean, it's just really bad, and we should have looked at it earlier. And then, Bill, thank you, because I think 2 or 3 years ago, you did this spreadsheet and went and looked at all the roads and you scaled them. And we had talked earlier, instead of doing things by district, do it by the worst roads. So we have a list of roads.
That's why we're doing so much on Luthersville Road this
Right,
time.
because we all realize that. But then in the same manner, we too are gonna have to look at options of finding different forms of revenue. And I do want to bring to the board, Michelle, did you able to find any more information about the infrastructure bill?
No, ma'am.
All right, well, I do have some information and I'll share with you. There is a grant, it's called the SS4A, and it's due by September the 15th. So maybe we can find some money also to kind of offset this cost, but I don't see how we don't get this done. I mean, I know Ms. Plant gets the call, I get the calls, and, the lady who called me swear up and down that it tore up her rim.
Did you say SS 480?
SS4A.
Oh, 4A.
I'll give you the information in more
Please,
detail.
thank
Well, I
you.
do want to finish what I was saying, though. It wasn't that I don't want to do it. It obviously needs to be done. I just worry about it being put in. If we do have detours and running more traffic through there, what's going to be the outcome at the end? Is there something we could do just very temporary to fix something, and then after this detour is done? I'm not trying to say don't do it. I'm just worried about it costing more money in the end because of what is coming.
I guess depending on the process, if we went in and did full depth reclamation in those 5 areas, they would be fine. But the rest of the road is probably gonna come around.
Right.
We could go in and do a temporary leveling and resurfacing just over the 5 bad areas. That'd be a lot less than what I've given Commissioner Plant, to hold it over and make it a safe drive temporarily.
I know it's not my
Knowing it's
district.
gonna
I'm just
come
trying
back.
to say, and I know, I saw you roll your eyes at me, Shirley, so I want to say, I know it's not my district, but I think it should be first on the list if we do that, because I wouldn't want to spend that money and then have these really nice areas and then trucks go through or other cars go through those areas in between the patches and that's tore up.
It's gonna
And then it's
continue.
coming right back.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but the question is, actually, this road should have been addressed a couple of years ago.
But it
But
wasn't,
it wasn't.
unfortunately.
So now we're looking at it now. We really don't know when they're gonna do Coleman Bridge. They're supposed to work on it a year and a half ago. So we can't just put it on hold solely for that alone, because once again, we've got our residents going up and down the road. And it's just to be honest, it's just not a safe road right now.
And the patches
Well,
that are
there's-
being used now are not holding. I mean, you're basically throwing good money after bad.
Right
Bad
now,
money
and
after
if you-
good or whatever.
Right, and if you look at the amount of time Public Works have to go out on this road, they're out there at least 3 or 4 times a month or more, or a week. So here's a list of how many times they've already had to go out to.
Let
the
me
road.
ask Bill a question. If we do these 5 sections of full depth and patch it, what if we have to come back and patch in between, full depth, in between the patches we're doing now? Is it gonna match up, or are you gonna have this every?
Well, we can have it mill and put it back flush so that you're not having a lot of bouncing. I mean, we could mill it down flush and just tie into the old existing asphalt smooth with the other. But there are so many roads in Meriwether County, not just Forest and not just Luthersville. They're in the same
Harry
condition.
Hardy's beginning to look.
Yeah.
Harry Hardy.
Harry Hardy, and unfortunately, that's a road that was paved not that many years ago, and I say that it's been since I've been on the board. So I mean, it may have been 8 or 10 years ago, but unfortunately, that's the way it's beginning to look. It's one pothole patch runs into the other.
You've got sections of Rocky Mount. I mean, there's a lot of roads out there. So, I mean, what could have been addressed years ago, I mean, it's all funding and it's money.
So if we move from these two, redo our LMIG, we're still short $56,000. So we're, in order to do all 5 patches. So where do we?
Do we have extra money in T-Splosh, Bill?
There's 2 that we definitely need to get.
But if we do that, I mean, if we could take it to T-Splosh and go ahead and address the 5 major ones. Mr. Bill says there's funds in T-Splosh, but that would be taking away Weaver and King, right?
Correct.
And moving it, because it's already in the LMIG, it would just simply be moving it to another.
Will there be any change cost for the contract with Piedmont?
So what?
Will Piedmont charge any kind of,
Well, I will need to get them out there and look at the patches. We're gonna look at either do full depth or a deep patch operation, just depends on how stable the area is. But it will involve some pricing because it involves a different process, whether they're coming out with a milling machine or whether they're coming out with a mixing machine.
But do we think it could be more than the 50-something?
Good. We probably need to get it priced and
Okay, so today then, could we just make the recommendation that this is what we'd like to do, or ask you to check into it further, check with Piedmont and see what the actual pricing?
I'll meet with them out there and get some
Actual
estimates
pricing
from.
be and have it back for our next meeting. Is that doable?
I think so.
do you need
I
this?
know asphalt prices have increased since we had that contract, so,
That's what my concern. Do you need this back that you gave me?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Do you need this back? Okay.
Bill? So can we just ask, Bill
I'd like to
to,
put it in the form of a motion that we move forward with making the necessary changes on LMIG to change from King and Weaver Park to Forest Road to address the 5-patch area.
Is that based on his findings from Piedmont with a possible increase?
yeah, this is of him just to start and come back with this actual prices.
I was actually looking at my area to see if I could give you the 50,000 out of mine,
Well,
but
I
I
did
don't see,
too.
that's what I was doing.
I don't have but one road on there, and the road that's on there for District
Right.
5 has been taken out 2 or 3 times for other reasons, and for the people that live out there, I just don't feel like I could
Get to it.
We understand
have that, but I
You
did
know,
look at it to see.
I mean, right now, there's so much work that needs to be done. I think we just gonna, my favorite word, be creative and look how else we can find some funding. I mean, that we can go to the state, we're just gonna have to think how we can get it done, because Forest Road is not the only road, but the thing about Forest Road, it connects to 100, it connects to 54, and then when you cross over 54, it runs into 29.
It goes forever.
And it's a long road. It's not as long as Luthersville Road, but I think Darren mentioned, I wish there was a way that the state would help us when you have those roads connecting to
State
state routes.
They just come in so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, she made that in the form of a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you, Mr. Bill.
Bill,
Thank you, Rosalind, Shirley.
thank y'all.
All right.
Maybe that'll cut down some.
Next, we have a report from our county administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to let everyone know that there has been an executive order from the state of Georgia from the governor for flags on all state buildings and grounds at half-staff for the former First Lady of Georgia that passed away May 29th, Miss Betty Foy Sanders. I also have some bad news. I hate to report, but EPS has not been able to start the corrective work on the roads due to the rain, the weather. So just wanted to let you know that they have not forgot. They wanted us to inform you that they are, it's still on the list, but because of the weather, they have not been able to start that. The cammering that was done at the courthouse in the drains, went really well. They think that repairs can be made and it can be utilized. So we'll be coming back with a cost for that. And that's all I have.
Okay. All right, report from the county commissioners. Commissioner Hines?
I have a couple of things. As everyone knows, I'm a big push about grants. So there is a grant that just came out on June the 5th. It's with USDA. It's called the Rural Housing Preservation Grant. The deadline to submit is July the 11th. That's the sad thing. It gives you a short period of time. But this is a grant that is for doing repairs and rehabbing houses in low-income rural communities. Your population has to be less than 20,000 to be eligible. It does repairs for electrical, wiring, foundation, roof, insulation, heating, water, and waste disposable system. It also will do handicap accessible features. It would include labor and material and administrative expenses. So I'll give this to our county administrator so she can put this out. The good thing about this grant, it's available for cities, it's available for nonprofits, it's available for churches if they have their separate 501c3. So I think this is a great opportunity, either if the county wants to do it or cities wants to do it. It does not give you the total amount of what you can apply for, but I can go get more information. We do get a lot of calls. I do. I think you all do get calls, especially from our seniors who are looking for means to keep their homes safe and updated. So this is an excellent program, and I would like for us to look more into that. And this is just for the state of Georgia, so we're not competing with other states for this funding. The other thing, and we've mentioned this before, DCA has a program assisting people with their rent. They're having a meeting today in Troop at the DFAC's office. I would like to get them to come to Meriwether County as well. I was told that the Salvation Army is the one who has the funding for our area, and hopefully we can get them to come in and explain how the system works. Everything is done online, which makes it a little difficult for some people, but once again, this is a program that will be, I'm sure, extremely helpful to those who would like to take advantage of it. I think I had another, 1 second. That's it about grants and funding. And as I mentioned to our county administrator, under the infrastructure bill, I've been told there's 3 tiers and it's all competitive. We can apply directly with the federal government, but we also can apply with the state of Georgia. And there is a program also for culverts, so, and bridges just for rural. So I would like for us to look into that because Bill has already given us an outline of all our bridges that need work done. And so maybe we can look at this as a resource to get some money for that as well. And the last thing I want to bring to your attention, there's an event on the 12th. It's called the Pastor Dash. It's a marathon and gay, where you can ride your bike, you can swim. It has an obstacle course and running. It's at the Cotton Picking Fair. So registration is $55 who triathlon, those who think they can do all of that at one time. But that's about it for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Plant?
Well, I just want to say that I had the opportunity last week to go to Callaway Gardens, where ACCG had the specialty track classes, and the one that I took on Thursday, Global Commerce, quite interesting. And I thought we got a lot of great information with state contacts and all, but my takeaway was once I identified that Miss Jane Fryer was our IDA Executive Director, she is well respected and well liked throughout the state. So that was my huge takeaway on Thursday. And then on Friday, we had, I took the class on service delivery strategy agreements. and the importance of the revenue streams. And the interesting thing that I took away from there, and I shared with Mr. Bell, was that Amazon, when they started collecting sales tax, how that revenue comes back to the counties from the Department of Revenue. But unfortunately, we may be losing revenue because of Grantville, Hogansville, Pine Mountain, with those three that I came up with, that's Meriwether County addresses, that would, our monies would be going into other counties.
Sonoy too.
Yeah.
Sonoy. So with that being said, that may be something we want to look at, because if it has affected our revenue stream, we would like to push, I would, for home addresses of the recipient of the Amazon orders or whatever. And there again, that's going to require state legislature, I'm sure. But Ms. Jane came up with a news release last week, and if y'all have not seen it, I would like for, make sure the newspaper has a copy of it. But with that being said, with the IDA parcel of land sales and all, we've actually are optioned out 108.20 acres, and then the potential for job creation is 275 jobs coming to Meriwether County. So I just want to say thank you, Miss Jane, for your hard work, and especially the challenges that we've had in the last couple of years. And thank you, Alan, for being on that board leadership. And unfortunately, I'm sorry that your husband had to leave, but he's on that board as well. And I do appreciate all the work that's being done through the Industrial Development Authority. And last but not least, Peaches in the Pines is Saturday. Can you cue up the pictures from the
Look at Skip, look at you. He's like, what are you
Commissioner McCoy has done?
talking about?
I just want to say thank you to Commissioner McCoy, and I know that Mr. Bell was responsible on that, but that was one of them, but there's a finished product out there. So I would encourage everyone, and thank you, Larry, for the ticket and all, to Peaches in the Pines, but check out our new added facility out there, and thank you, Mr. McCoy, or better known, thank you, Buster. You can elaborate on who all helped and who all worked, but with that being said, yes, sir.
I did want to point out that what you mentioned about the IDA is on the front page of the Star Mercury and the Vindicator.
Thank you, thank you.
We need front page coverage on our audit report too. Finances of the county.
I believe that can be arranged.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
But that's it for me.
All right. I have just a couple of things. I know several meetings ago, we mentioned that Commissioner Hines had completed a specialty training class in economic development, and I believe your certificate is here. You turn around and show it. Thank you. Congratulations to Commissioner Hines on that. They've gotten her. There you go. Good job there.
Thank you.
And the other thing I wanted to mention was that on June the 25th will be the annual Freedom Celebration in Warm Springs. It's just an old-fashioned hometown parade. Everybody's invited to decorate a golf cart, bicycle, wagon, walk, or whatever. They'll have serve watermelon in the park courtesy of the fruit stand there in Warm Springs once it's over. It's just a good day to come out and enjoy being with everyone. There will be a vintage plane fly over during the parade as well. So I hope you'll put that on your calendar and remember that. Thank you. Commissioner Threadgill.
I do not know if Manchester's doing the fireworks this year. Have you heard? They are doing it. Okay, thank you. So what day is that on?
July 3rd usually.
That's a Sunday. So it's probably the 2nd, which is a Saturday. So I'll get that back out to everybody in case y'all want to come out with the fireworks on that. But I do want to say today was a good report on the financial part for the county. So thank you for everybody who has had a hand in that.
Thank you, Commissioner McCoy.
One thing I would like to say is this next Monday, work begins down at the boat launch there at the river. Y'all know that we contracted, or we have leased that to the state that will be building that for us, so that is going to be quite nice, I think. I'm going to ask Mr. Bill to come forward if he would. I need a progress report, Bill, on all the work that you've done down at the lake. Kind of tell us where you are.
Lake Meriwether.
Yes.
Madam Chairman, Board, Commissioner. Currently, we're still working on installing the new septic system, which is a lift station and drain fill area out of the back of the bathroom shower house. And we've also installed a septic tank and drain fill area for a dump station for the RV site. We have the electrical wiring in the boxes for the RV sites, but we're waiting to get the lift station hooked up and get it activated.
Right. Y'all know we agreed to extend the RV parking down there where we'll have 6 more spaces. And this is the hoops we're having to jump through in order to do that. So that's all going forward. So it'll make it fairly nice when we get that complete, I think.
They're trying to hook up the, we've rerouted the water out of the city's
right
plant.
Are we tied in now?
We had some pipes burst yesterday. I mean, there's so much pressure coming off of that plant.
It's horrible.
So the bathrooms have been shut down overnight, and they've got them repaired this morning, but we're trying to get in a connection where we can get a pressure reducing valve put in to stop that. But this is a very reoccurring problem in that shower house. It's just too much pressure for the piping.
Way much pressure. It's tremendous pressure there. Well, thank you, Mr. Bill. And I would like to also say Mr. Bill came down, I believe it was last Tuesday when we were first starting this project. And he helped me mix concrete that day.
That would kill me.
And we set the forms, and last week, in a little bit on Sunday afternoon, I was able to finish up what you see there. And my understanding is today that Randy's been able to put the top on. And do you have the picture with the guys helping me there, Skip? Larry was down there a couple of days.
They do have the roof on.
Right. So I was hoping that would be done. And what this is, in case you're can't tell from the pictures, this stage is 16 foot across the front. It has a total depth of about 13 feet, and the center section of this is covered. So they will be able to retreat under there in case of a rain. Somebody asked me, what do you do with the blowing rain? Well, you get out of the outside. That's what you do. And I was hoping, do you have that picture, Skip, where the workers are there with me? If not, Doug and Al from Public Works were very instrumental in helping me get that done, and I appreciate the efforts they put out. Come on down on yeah, right there. That gives you some idea of the height of that.
It's freestanding.
Oh, yeah, this is about 10 foot in the center. It's much taller than it appears, yes. It shouldn't restrict any activity at all up there on that stage.
It looks good.
This is from the road.
It was a slightly different technique for me. We actually mounted those piers and then set them in place with them still attached to the framework. So that worked out pretty well.
Was last year too.
Now can you blow that up a little bit? Yeah, bring it on up. All right, see the guys there helping me? That was for about 4 days. I had a couple of guys from Public Works came in and gave me a hand building that thing. So, and it was a hot day. You can tell by my shirt, it was a hot day. That was it. So
Thank you.
no problem. That's all I have.
Next, we have a report from our county attorney.
Madam Chair, I have nothing to report.
Okay, we have need for executive session.
I believe so.
Yes, for personnel and real estate.
Personnel and real estate. All right, we'll go ahead and announce our other meetings and notices. June 20th, the offices will be closed for the Juneteenth holiday. June 28th, we'll have the regular meeting at 6 p.m. At this time, can we have a motion to go in executive session for personnel and real estate?
So moved.
At 10:58, we have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, we're in executive session. Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we're back in regular. We're back in regular session, and we do have some things from executive session. Can I have a motion to approve the salary adjustments request as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, can we have a motion to approve?
Sorry.
That's okay. I was gonna say, that's okay.
I'm sorry.
McCoy.
Motion second, motion Second.
Actually, Mr. McCoy did before I did.
All right, can we have a motion to approve employee unpaid leave request?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Next, can we have a motion to override Empower's decision for hardship withdrawal request?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we got those done. Any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.